During the COVID-19 pandemic, we heard a lot of talk about personal freedoms being under attack. Lockdowns, mask mandates, and vaccine requirements were called tyranny by some. But were these measures actually illegal, or were they justified under public health? Today, we'll separate truth from truthiness.
I can't even eat in that McDonald's.
Hundreds of demonstrators, including truck drivers, are protesting vaccine mandates. After a Friday night court order for protesters to disband, today, police moved in. With the busiest land crossing in North America shut for nearly a week, trade was severely disrupted.
At the height of the pandemic, many believed that public health measures violated their constitutional rights. The idea was that Canada's Charter of Rights and Freedoms guarantees individual liberty, and any government-imposed restriction like mask mandates, lockdowns, or vaccine passports was unlawful. People reference Section 7 of the Charter, which protects life, liberty, and security of the person. They argue that vaccine mandates infringed on bodily autonomy and that lockdowns unfairly restricted personal movement. Protests erupted across Canada and across the globe, referencing human rights laws to argue that pandemic measures were a form of government overreach and a violation of their constitutional rights. But here's the reality. Canada's legal system does allow for rights limitations, if they can be demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society, as the Section 1 of the Charter states. This means that if the government can prove a law protects public health and is proportionate, it can legally limit individual freedoms. For example, during the pandemic, courts upheld public health orders, citing the principle Salus Populi Suprema Lex. The health of the people is the highest law. This means that collective well-being can sometimes take precedence over individual rights. Courts use the Oakes test to determine if a law is justified. COVID-19 measures were assessed based on whether they served a pressing objective, were rationally connected to that objective, minimally impaired rights, and had benefits that outweighed the infringement. In PHS Community Services Society versus Canada, the court case in 2011, the SCC ruled that public health interventions like safe injection sites can override certain legal restrictions because they save lives. Similarly, in Jacobson versus Massachusetts, which was a U.S. case that took place in 1905, vaccine mandates were upheld on the basis that individual liberty is not absolute in times of public health crises. So was Canada's response unconstitutional? No. Public health law has long established that in a pandemic, governments can impose restrictions to protect people. While there's always a balance to be struck, the law recognizes that true liberty isn't just about individual choice. It's also about responsibility to others. So next time someone says lockdowns were illegal, you'll know the truth.
By mid-February, Canada had fallen behind